My name is Steve Cass. I'm the owner of Cass of Winery in Paso Robles, California.
How do you decide what percentages to blend when you're making wine?
That's the most fun of this project. Sorry.
How do you decide to blend? Take two.
There are certain things that you consider when you want to go into blending, but primarily it's what are the wines tasting like when it's time to bottle. So you've got, in my situation, say with Cabernet, I've got 4 different clones of Cabernet, and we'll pick the Cabernet a little bit early in the season, and then in the middle of the season, and then late in the season. So we have 4 clones, and they've been picked 3 different times. There's 40% of them are going into new barrels, French barrels, and 60% are going into neutral barrels. So even though it's all Cabernet, it's many, many different nuances of Cabernet. So the fun part of being in this business is to go through those 40 or 50 barrels. I mean, we're a small winery. And picking out the ones you really like the best, putting them in some little jars and doing different combinations and figuring out which ones you like the best. Now with a grape like Grenache, for example, which doesn't have a reputation for being a good aging wine, you might want to put a little bit of wine in it that is a good aging wine, like maybe a Mourvedre, which is what we do, and just to make sure it has a little backbone and it'll age a little bit better. But beyond that, it's all about flavor. You don't want to blend anything unless the final product is better than the original product.
Do you know, as you're blending, what's going to make a better blend?
You never know until you taste it out of the barrel. And the example I like to give, we took 36 of our wine club members and put them around 6 tables, 6 people at each table. And we gave them 3 different clones of Cabernet, and we gave them a Merlot and a Syrah, and we asked them to come up with the best possible blend that they could. So they all had the beakers and the measurements, and they spent an hour tasting every combination they could think of before they came up with the combination they thought was the best. Then we had the best combination from each of those 6 tables go up to the big table, and we put a brown bag over them and mixed them up and asked everybody, all 36 people, to taste all 6 of them and vote which was the best blend. So I kind of thought there would be a relatively random distribution of votes amongst those 6, thinking they would probably come up with a blend that's relatively close. And no one knew what they were tasting. They didn't know if they're tasting their own blend or somebody else's. Out of the 36 votes, 26 of them went to one particular blend. And then nine went to a second blend, and 1 went to a third, and the other ones didn't even get a vote, even though the tables thought that was the best combination. So when we looked at the blend that got all the votes, it happened to have a predominance of one particular Cabernet clone. So we decided that's the money maker. That's the best Cabernet clone coming from the best spot in the vineyard, and that's really where we're going to stay focused.